I think it'll have the little we are live.
We
oh, hey, look at that. There we go.
Back.
Since when?
Thank you everyone for tuning back in. That was very unexpected. Did not expect that, and so we have to roll with the technical difficulties that we are blessed with. So, DCC, thank you for staying on. Thank you all for hopping on the new link. We are excited to still be here, and we have a lot of great content to bring you. So please don't be discouraged. We are here for you. And yes, so Miguel, how many times have you had technical difficulties on streams?
Quite a few. I would say it probably happens once a quarter, probably. Something happens. Something doesn't go as planned. But it's usually just when you have multiple guests. It ends up happening or stuff. Like a mic goes out, your camera doesn't work. One time we couldn't mute mics at all, so we just had just crazy shit.
That must have been crazy.
Oh yeah, because sometimes you bring guests along and they're just talking mad shit about people, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, and we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, what's going on?
Well, that sounds like a really fun time. Just to get back to the question that I asked earlier, so we can get back to that train of thought. What made you stick to crypto despite coming from traditional finance, where you saw very little price volatility, and then you went to crypto and saw like 50% drops in your investment overnight? Like, what made you stick to it? Was the question.
It was mostly based off of I'd already spent a lot of time on YouTube in terms of I've always said I've had a PhD in YouTube research. So I've always been able to find new and upcoming YouTubers and trends and stuff that's going to pop off. So I basically saw that a lot of I don't know, something in my stomach was telling me, because I came from a very traditional stock portfolio sort of world. You're just in ETFs only. You're kind of DIY your own retirement fund versus actively trading or actively stock picking. And it basically, once I was doing that for a long time, it allowed me to save up a lot of money. It allowed me to save enough money in those ETFs where I was able to actually make single investments into one particular stock. And then eventually I went from an ETF investor to straight on. I was just a stock picker, basically. I was in on maximum 8 stocks to 5 stocks at all times. And I basically saw that because basically I saw okay, risk reward ratio. What I'm risking here is time, and I'm in these things, and I'm I'm really not making that much returns. Sure, I'm making 7 to 12%. Sure, that's okay, but for how much money, and because that money could be serving me in my life, or I could be upgrading my business, and it's not doing much. So then I go from stocks, and then in stocks I'm okay, cool, I'm making 25% to 40% a year. Pretty good. But the thing is what I was noticing is that even all the YouTube channels that I was watching and all the things I was seeing is that they were getting more and more degenerate, where they weren't even sticking to their own rules, really. So, which is fine. Hey, you have to go on the risk curve to get, to make money, right? All in the video, right? But it had gotten to a point where they were just, it was getting so degenerate. And then on top of that, I started noticing that they were constantly bashing crypto. So I was okay, so something's obviously happening over here. I kind of understood it already. And I saw the kind of gains it made, because I was wow, I'm worth risking some. So what I did is, okay, I'll leave the bulk of my investments there. I'll leave stock picks there. I won't put any more money. I'll put active money into crypto. And then slowly over time, as I get comfortable, I'll start DCAing my stock portfolio into crypto once I really understand it. So I was I'm willing to risk whatever, $1,000, $2,000 a month that I'm DCAing into crypto versus I'm not going to risk the whole stock portfolio. Let me just figure it out. And I started making a ton of money on it, to the point where I was oh my God. And then I just started withdrawing over time. I basically every month I was withdrawing 10 or 15% of my stock portfolio until I emptied it out, basically. And primarily what I did is I used that as especially near the late 2018 to mid 2019. By middle of 2019, I was completely out of equities completely. I think I just, my last stock was Disney or something, I think, and sold it out and went from there, basically. But it was sort of what I did is, it's because I learned all these really good lessons on risk and stuff from traditional space. And what I started noticing was all the millennial guys and all the stuff where you're making a lot of money, they're completely abandoned all that stuff. So what I did is I kind of melded all the styles together and kind of did my own custom style, but basically put myself a backstop just so I wouldn't get wrecked, and which saved my ass too, because basically like if I had all in my stock portfolio into crypto, I could have been in more heavier losses, and it would have took me a little bit longer. It probably would have took me into like middle of like probably late 2019, early 2020 to have been in profit, but still would have made it out. But it was that sort of thing where it gave me the dry powder to actually be able to like invest and stuff, because I was able to drain this account of like hard work that I'd saved up, which helped me out. And on top of that, man, like 20% on nothing is still nothing. Let's just be for real. You need to make multiples. I mean, it's like this. The reason they say like the best thing you could ever do is invest in yourself. Well, it's what they mean by that, right? Is besides like invest in your education, right? Because they can't take that shit away from you, except for a lobotomy. But like, but besides that, you're in the you invest into a business. The amount of multiples you can do, like $2,000 of equipment plus your hard work and sweat equity, you can make $100,000 business. I mean, that's a fucking huge ROI, right? But so with some of these investments, it's got to be like real passive money. And if you're going to risk more, it's got to be, the upside's got to be big. And crypto is the only thing that can give you that kind of upside besides business. So this is why I'm always about like starting your own business and investing in crypto, because these are the only industries where you can actually get crazy multiples on capital.
But you got to put in the work.
Actually, what's kind of funny about that is that's originally what I was doing. Was I was creating my own business using more updated software for the industry that I'm in, which was pest control, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, a crypto mindset course thingy, and I was like, you know what, I think I'll take a stab at this, right? And I think it started with the Citadel. That's what it originally started with. And I was like, oh, $100, that's a really good introduction, right? And then I got my 4-year-old over here. Yeah, so then I was like, Citadel, and then I started getting lots of stuff in there. It's like blowing my mind and all that. I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of knowledge here that I do not have. And I was like learning, right? Learning, like drinking from a fire hose. And I just kept with it. It was so much, it was kind of blowing my brain. And then I was like, oh, crypto mindset course, went into that, right? And I started realizing as I was going through that, hey, there's a lot of multiples that can be made here. And this is, other than like starting a company and having it being very successful, this is the way to go, to become financially free. So yeah, I started really running with it.
No, definitely. I mean, hey, shout out to you for having kids, man. Love it. That's good. I'd like to hear, man. I want more degens, more.
Hey, more. Got one so far.
But
Miguel, you've talked about. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Will.
I was just going to ask you, you've talked about the Citadel before, and that's kind of how Nate got his intro. I'm curious what it was that started the Citadel with you and Charlie. I think you might have mentioned it before, but what was the beginning of that?
So basically what happened is we started in September of 2020 with the first crypto mindset course. It was like 80 people. Then the second one we did, it was like 300. Then the one after that was 500, then 800, then 1,100, and then 2,000. It just got to get into a point where like, as we started getting to the bear market, we basically saw like, holy crap, we have so many chats. It's getting hard to like answer people's questions because, we don't close chats down, but it was like getting to a point where I was like, wow, we have like 13,000 people in chats, in all these different chats. And it's getting a little noisy. So we need to condense it down. So what we did is, okay, how about we just put one focal point where we can hyper concentrate and keep that list. So we hyper pay attention to the current course and then the Citadel. And the Citadel is like a big focal point where we can answer the most amount of questions, do AMAs, and just do all these other services, include them in webinars, and give them value and stuff. So we were like, okay, let's just do all that and just put a central point there and stuff. So that's the main reason why we did the Citadel. It was kind of just to condense, get everyone as many of the people into one chat. And that will be like the main place where we can echo out, like, what we think is going on in the market, basically. Yep.
We'll talk more about the mindset later, but it's been a big help. And for anyone who's been part of it, we recommend it again. And who has not had a chance to participate, that wants to learn a lot, deep dive into different aspects of crypto and how you can be self-sufficient. It's not a course that you join just to get plays on crypto and when to buy and sell. It's not how it works. It's about teaching you how to eat for yourself, about how you can learn to chart, how you can learn to figure out the tokenomics of a coin to see if it makes sense or if it's just going to be a rug. And once you can figure out those things for yourself, you can live on your own and you can make money on your own. Otherwise, man, you're just going to be chasing that inflation. Literally just going to be trying to make money and escape that inflation. So we've had a lot of news in the past month, a lot of good and a lot of bad, DCC, on the crypto front. But there was something this week that was really interesting. And, I think it kind of got lost for a while, but it was the Grayscale versus SEC court battle that's been happening. And, we've kind of been crabbing. And then, what happens? SEC takes another big L. And by the way, they're taking a lot of big L's when it comes to crypto fights in the courts, and first XRP, now Grayscale. So we know that the first Bitcoin ETF is going to be coming out likely within the next month. And we'll probably have more of those being approved this fall. Is this something that is that's going to allow a lot of institutional money to help pump the markets, or should we pump our expectations because they're going to be a little bit more institutional control now?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, like, regardless or not, like, we're entering kind of a brackish water where like TradFi is fusing with a little bit of crypto. We still will have the crypto degenerate side, and we will still have all the meme coins and then real DeFi, but more and more cryptos merging with the regular macro sectors of the economy. And basically since the moment the Fed started increasing interest rates back in the first quarter of 2022, we have now kind of like our locomotive has like linked up with the rest of the space. So now, like, if the rest of the equity market takes a shit, we'll also go down. We could counter pump for maybe a month or two, but then eventually it come down because some of the people who have a lot of wealth in equities and stuff are starting to have wealth in crypto, and then when they're feeling bearish, they take profits in crypto, which can drag the prices down. So that's what's kind of going on there. But overall, I think ETFs will pass for Bitcoin. Ethereum is going to be a little bit more, I think, a longer term, but once the Bitcoin one passes, it's going to be like green lights. People are that's basically the start of the real crazy start of the bull market. I think honestly in the next 2 months, we're pretty much at the lows of the altcoin market, honestly. So there's even stuff even with all the lawsuits, even with Richard Hart and stuff like that. He has to be. I mean, there's a big court case on the 28th, but like I actually think he has to meet a little earlier than that. And if he doesn't show up, it could be bad or so. And even the SEC and stuff, they want him to settle. I think it was like what they want him to pay $14 million and never talk about crypto again, or something like that. Yeah.
That's not.
It's about the money, bro.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
That's not happening.
So since we're on the topic of ETFs, right? I know that a lot of other crypto pundits have spoken about how this upcoming cycle, it's probably going to be an Ethereum cycle, right? And a lot of people have considered, okay, this might be the next bull cycle, might be the time where we have it might be short-lived, right? But it might be a point in time where Ethereum actually gets to flip BTC. But now that we have the largest asset manager in the world, BlackRock, and all of these different other asset managers that quite frankly control a large portion of the world's wealth, now investing into these Bitcoin ETFs when they do come out, how likely do you think now that do you think it's still possible that Ethereum could flip Bitcoin this cycle, or has the Bitcoin ETFs kind of put a stop to that line of thinking?
It's still possible. I mean, I think if there's a cycle they're going to do it, it'd probably be this one. It just every cycle it gets a little tougher and tougher for it to happen. But I mean, right now the biggest thing that's happened to Ethereum is that Ethereum 2.0 upgrade. Effectively, in a way, kind of like Ethereum's kind of become our government bonds in crypto. Crypto projects can now stake their Ethereum and earn like a passive yield without like selling off their major supply. So there's a lot of like revenue that's being created from Ethereum now. I think people discount that, as well as, once we're in Bitcoin, the big money is going to start speculating in Ethereum, and much more so that supply is getting locked up and not being spent out because it's being staked everywhere. So it starts this. We can get some crazy prices. I mean, like kind of my real low end price point for Ethereum's $8,000. That's if we have a pretty shitty bull market, but more than likely we're going to be like $12,000 to $14,000 on Ethereum. But if things get pretty crazy to the point where like maybe there's an Ethereum ETF on the prowl, and there's all of these other things, I mean, Ethereum could get up to like $25,000, $27,000. It's a pretty crazy sort of place where like a flipping could happen temporarily, and then I think Bitcoin would get its place back real quick. But it's things could get really crazy. I mean, like if we kind of outside of just the BlackRock investing into everything, right, buying all the Bitcoin miners, they can more easily control Ethereum than they can Bitcoin. So honestly, I feel like they would rather have Ethereum as in first place rather than Bitcoin. But we'll have to see.
Actually, I completely agree with that. That's something that I've been kind of noticing as far as like what I'm seeing off of like governments and big corporations is it seems like they're just trying to cage in Bitcoin, right? But then they're trying to like buddy up, and partner up with Ethereum. So that and I think the reason why for that is simply that Ethereum is it's the use case one, right? They can start building their own stuff on it. Bitcoin, like you can build stuff on it, but it's not really known so much for that. It's not as friendly for it, right? So I think that's I think this cycle is going to be kind of crazy when it comes to institutions, coming into the space. It's been said that there's somewhere between like $10 trillion that's ready to just dump into crypto. And like a lot of that is going to be going straight to Bitcoin, obviously, because it's the most well known. But I think there's going to be a surprising amount going straight into Ethereum, man.
I mean, definitely. I mean, Bitcoin. It's. I mean, I've taught you guys this already. It's trickle down economics, but it kind of works, kind of. The big money buys Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those things go up. Then people then speculate because they think the next round's going to be in the altcoin. So Bitcoiners it's kind of, I was in Bitcoin Miami, and these Bitcoiners were barely talking about Bitcoin. They were talking about altcoins the whole time in private. And it's because they use their Bitcoin to speculate into altcoins to then make multiples, so you can then go buy more Bitcoin or cash, right? So it's kind of this whole thing where like the big two top assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they kind of move in tandem a little bit with each other within a range. And if Bitcoin rises quite significantly, Ethereum will as well. And then Ethereum's price goes up, which then makes every altcoin rise 80% to the same amount as Ethereum. And then from there, all these altcoin communities, if they get like a 5x in capital, they have all this capital, they start speculating into L1s, which make the L1 tokens pump, which make every other ecosystem token pump even more. And then you have this cascade where the entire market just explodes in capital. It just makes it's awesome. It's pretty awesome, but you have to get the big two movers, unless unlike you have to have some special event like Pulse Chain Hype or something like that, where that's where we pump against Bitcoin and Ethereum. But once Bitcoin and Ethereum move, these altcoin communities have a lot of money. Then from there, it becomes this whole game of like catching cycles and seasons. Like, oh, it's Solana season, Solana cycle. It's it's Pulse Chain. Oh, it's Cardano time. Oh my God, it's Phantom time. It's all these different, like it's in cycles. Like, I mean, literally like up until like last year, the last ecosystem to pump was Phantom actually. You had Phantom pump, then Metis, and they tried to pump near protocol and it didn't. It basically failed. So the capital flew back into Phantom, and then it did this last pump into March of 2022, and then that's it. It's over. That was the last pumps. Now you still had some NFT thing grifts going on, but that's about it. So that's what happens is like the money you have these big pumps, and then people like you're gonna have OP season. Oh, it's Arbitrum season, or like OP and Arbitrum pump at the same time. Then money flows into Matic, and it's flowing everywhere, right? But you are going to have some underperformances, of course. But the opportunity is basically to pick a good ecosystem, pick your main L1 token, and pick a couple winners in there while they're cheap, and yield on them, or just hold them in a wallet. And then later on, when they do these massive multiples, just remember to take profit into Ethereum or Bitcoin. That's the big one. People always forget to do that, is unless it's such a life-changing amount, like you're like, oh my God, this is like $100,000. I should probably just put this in my bank. Versus it just all depends on where we're at in the cycle. If we're in early 24, probably back into Bitcoin, Ethereum. If we're into 2025, you better put that in your bank.
Yes. Yeah. We talk a lot in this on this show about taking profits. For me, I've I rode it up, and I watched it ride down for a while before I learned to start taking some money, reapothecating it into other areas, new coins, taking it out when we were starting to roll down. But this time, I think we're ready to roll. Now, it's interesting because I kind of expected the ETFs for Bitcoin to launch a little bit later. I kind of expected the interest rates to have stopped rising before the ETFs came out. And so I think it's kind of interesting that if we get these ETFs starting to come out this fall, I personally at the moment still expect the Fed to raise the interest rates at the next hike chance, which was coming up next month. So we'll see how the jobs report looks. I'm not going to give my 100% opinion yet until we see the jobs report, until we see these CPI numbers. But it's something that I dive very deeply into, the economic side of things. And so it's interesting for me to think, for a while I thought, okay, we have all of this institutional money that's going to be flowing into the coins. We have, just the next cycle, right? We always go up every cycle. We have more people talking about crypto in the government, outside of the government. So it's on people's minds. And I really thought that we could start to see a really unique pump within the crypto market. And I don't know if it's going to happen as much as I had anticipated it originally, sort of a perfect storm theory. But is the ETF launching sooner rather than later before we stop the interest rates going to affect anything? Or is the money just going to wait to get in until the markets start going up?
I mean, if I were just to think about it, regardless or not, if the ETF happens, it happens. It's cool, but you're right. The interest rates will kind of like temper the pump, but overall, the ETF is incredible news because you'll have more and more of them coming out. I still believe we're going to get one more raise, but we're probably on track for two more raises. I think we're going to be at 6% flat on the interest rates before we get a pause.
I agree.
And then we're from there, we're going to end up having probably a little bit of an equities correction, 10% or so in equities, which will take crypto down a little bit. And so things will get pretty spicy around November. But that's why I was saying in the next two months or so, we could actually end up getting kind of the altcoins lows. Like we can actually get the real bottom and then get kind of maybe a retest. And then after that, it's kind of smooth sailing into 24, basically. There's still going to be a bunch of legislation crap and everything like that. But the whole thing is like surviving this year. Just make it past 2023. It's going to be a tough. We're going to get dicked around a lot this year, but we can make it into 2024. The election cycle starts, and a lot of these agencies start losing their teeth, basically, because you can't be making enemies during election year. You just can't.
So what you're saying is work hard, earn as much cash as you can, sell what you have, and be ready to buy the bottoms. Not financial advice. We don't give financial advice on the show, right? This is just entertainment. We're just talking about markets and things that we see out there. So don't take it as financial advice. But DCDC is right that we probably haven't seen all of the volatility escape the market yet, because Jerome Powell had said we're going to have two more raises before the end of the year. We've had one, and now he's kind of getting even more hawkish that we're definitely going to have one more. And I raised my chance at two more to 50%. And that's rising in September. When I see the numbers again, I could be raising that number. So DCC, I agree with you a lot when it comes to how many more rate hikes that we get. And I was talking last week when the SEC and the Richard Hart stuff came out that I also think the market hadn't originally started to factor in all of these rate hikes. They heard him say, hey, we're going to have two more rate hikes, but it didn't really seem like they believed him. They were thinking, okay, he's going to keep telling us he's going to raise the rates, but he's going to start slowing. He's going to start, flipping, and he's going to start pausing, but he hasn't. And so I think the markets are going to continue to start to have to build that in, which could see some more volatility and some more downside. So
stocks have been too bullish. Stocks have been just too bullish. They're fucking at all-time highs. How?
It's incredible.
It's how. Obviously I know how. Stock buybacks. More and more of the supply of the stock's being held by the company versus like actual people buying it, right? Basically what they're doing is this giant sort of dance right now where, I think one of the big reasons, there's three big real reasons why the interest rates are going higher. One, stocks haven't crashed enough. Two, real estate hasn't crashed enough. And three, they need to give an opportunity for baby boomers to essentially get income, basically. So I think the reason they're going to 6% is so the 10-year bonds can go up to like 5.25% for 10 years fixed. So if you buy, like, just say you got $1 million as a retiree, you can put $1 million into a 10-year treasury, and you can get paid $52,500 a year for the next 10 years for $1 million. Not too shabby. On top of that, if interest rates drop down in the next 2 years by, let's just say 200, maybe 250 basis points, down to 3.5, that $1 million bond is worth like 1.3 to 1.4 million while paying you 500 by paying you $50,000 a year on top of that as well. So like where that's basically the retirement strategy. Really, if we know rates, like this is why like there's places like Pinco and stuff like that. I forgot the name of the guy, but there's these really famous bond traders and stuff where he basically started his career at the tippy top of interest rates when they were at 17+%. And made a fortune for his clients and stuff. And right when interest rates went to zero, he retired.
Funny how that works.
Started at the top, went at the bottom. Well, right now we're close to a top. We're going to have to come down, right? So now Jerome Powell has like 3 bullets in the chamber, man. He can lower interest rates to zero. He can print money, and effectively they've got the central bank digital currency now, and like they're able to. Actually, there's even another bullet in the chamber. 2 people haven't put into it. Let's just say like there's a lot of people scared about the BRICS currencies, right? If the BRICS currencies actually really started to hurt the United States, what the United States would do is I would jack interest rates up to 10 to 17, 20%. I would just you would just end up crushing every economy. Basically, just to stop hyperinflation, you would just grind it to a halt, and then that would really collapse a lot of these other countries like currencies and stuff too. I mean, it would collapse most economies, but it would keep the dollar in power and stuff like that. I mean, and on top of that too, even the BRICS currencies are a bunch of paper tigers. It's bullshit economies. I mean, you have one disruption to like world trade and stuff, and a lot of these countries go into starvation mode.
It's interesting that you say that. Let's actually dive into that. That's very interesting. I haven't heard that one yet. So if that were to happen, right, and then you raise it up like 10, 15%, it's just like, ouch. If they came up with their own currency, like BRICS just came up with their own currency, how does the dollar at that point, since they're using their own, how would that hurt them? Wouldn't that just cause simply all the other countries using the dollar to just...
So here's what happens is that 80% of 80%, I forgot the number. It's 80% or 76%. So somewhere between there, right? All trade is done in dollars. That same amount is corporate debt. So there's a ton of demand for dollars. So the higher the interest rate is, the harder it is for companies to borrow, to pay, to like basically easy money's gone. So these companies are having to dig for dollars. That's why the dollar is getting, that's why CPI and some is coming down, is because the dollar's getting strong because companies are holding onto dollars to pay back loans. So the money supply is actually contracting a little bit, as well as the Fed is allowing their balance sheet to run off, which means like when the bank buys bonds or buys mortgage-backed securities, they just hold on to them. And then let's just say I have a 2-year bond. I wait 2 years, it goes off the balance. I don't need to sell it in the open market. I can just take the cash, it pays me back, and it's gone off the balance sheet basically. So what's going on is that they're kind of contracting the money supply right now, as well as increasing now banks can print money, of course, but banks can only print money if people are willing to take loans. If the interest rate's really high, less people so regardless, even the banks are kind of handicapped because they can't really make loans right now because no one's taking it. I mean, right now, like I'm getting offered all the time, like 1% interest or interest only loans for 6 months. And then because they're trying to dupe every dumbass into fucking taking a loan right now, it's like, oh yeah, I'll take this fucking interest only loan for 6 months or a one. If your local bank is just out of nowhere offering you out of the goodness of their heart, like for 1 year, we're gonna offer you interest only payments and stuff, right? And then you're gonna get smacked. You're gonna get like fucked up the ass, no lube. I mean that's exactly what's happening. So, these. Basically, what's going to happen is if the United States increases interest rates that high, every other bank has to increase the interest rates that high. So let me tell you why. Because they have to have their currencies cheaper than the US dollar. So what most countries do is they have to print more of their currency in order to be cheaper than the US dollar, so they're more competitive in terms of trading around this global marketplace that we have. So they have a lot of their currencies devalue their currencies more than the dollar. This is why every currency is roughly devaluating at the same rate or even more. So every time the every time the Federal Reserve increases by 25 basis points, everyone increases by 25 to 50. So if the United States increases it that much, I mean, it would pretty much stop global trade. And on top of that, it would make dollars so scarce that a lot of these companies would start going bankrupt, and then you start having disruptions to shit. Now, you'd have to have you'd have to have a literal like coercion of like every country on the planet to say, no, we're not doing that. We're just gonna, all U.S. debt is bullshit, and we don't owe that anymore. It'd have to be something. It'd have to be like a worldwide jubilee for that to happen, and then that's not going to happen. And on top of that, the U.S. dollar is backed by military might.
Yeah, that right there. That's it exactly. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this on my streams as well. Like, fuck, all you gotta do is blow up the Strait of Hormuz. Just put a bunch of oil tankers. You can't get any oil out of there. We just turn the fracking back on. Our prices will go high and stuff like that. I mean, that'll pretty much cripple the world economy, and like that'll pretty much nuke out all that'll destroy almost half the BRICS countries right there. And then on top of that, all you gotta do is like, all you gotta do is this. All right, you guys don't want to play ball? Okay. Oil tanker there. We do weapons deals with Iran and just let everyone have fun. We just walk away. Just let them kill themselves.
Yikes.
Yeah, what's interesting, you talk about fracking, most people probably don't know this. The United States actually sits on the second most amount of oil in the entire world. You know, the Middle East obviously produces the most, but the United States, if they ever need it, is sitting on the second most amount of oil in the entire world.
Do you want to know why oil went negative? Besides COVID, I mean, obviously when Android 19 happened, you know, demand went to zero and then started up again and stuff. So like, but before that, right, the United States became oil independent under Trump. I think in 2020 we were oil independent. We were the second largest manufacturer of natural gas, and then now we were the largest producer of gasoline on the planet. We were complete oil independent. Saudi Arabia lost their fucking mind, and just you can look it up. Look at OPEC. They decided to increase the amount of barrels on the market, and they crashed the price of oil, per barrel per oil to $30 because the average fracker was needed $55 per barrel to stay solvent. So they basically crashed because they said they literally would rather sell it for $30 a barrel forever than have the U.S. be energy independent and stuff, because if we're not buying from them anymore, we don't need them, right? So they try to bankrupt the frackers in America by dropping it to $30. Then what happened is once the frackers went under, oil prices spiked up again. And then once COVID happened, they were producing so much oil and it shut down. That's why we went into negative territory. That's why oil went for free. And actually they paid you money to take it. That's what happened. So it's this huge game and stuff like that. We have plenty of, I mean, if the United States wanted to, we could be oil independent right now. It wouldn't take that long. It'd take like a year and a half, 2 years. It isn't like in Russia or some shit like that when you turn off those oil canisters, you turn off those oil reserves and stuff, they turn off forever because they freeze over. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like we have just about everything. And on top of that, let's just say we didn't have the oil, we could turn back half our fracking on, and then from there, annex. I'm totally for this annexing what's it called, Canada. But if we didn't want to go that route, then what I would do is you would just do deals with South America and just turn on. I mean, I know we don't want to go back down there to like certain countries down there, but like you would make deals and turn them back on because like, I mean, the reason like a lot of these countries down there that had oil reserves that went full like belly up and they had hyperinflation was basically because the United States, most of their oil is like heavy crude, so it's like it takes a lot of refinement, right? Like when you do fracking, you have light, like you have a sweet, with light and sweet, what's called crude oil. So it's the type of oil that takes the least amount of processing in order to create it into gasoline versus like heavy sour. You need heavy industry and a heavy refinement, and that actually it's still good, but it takes a lot more refinement and technologically advanced like refineries in order to actually make it into gasoline. So Venezuela and stuff, most of their stuff's like heavy sour. So you end up, United States is one of the few people around the world that actually can process their oil. So we just do deals with them again, and we get plenty of oil again. But basically we'd prop up, Venezuela again. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, there's just so much nuance when it comes to the economy, when it comes to where we're going as a country, where we're going as an asset class in crypto. I personally still believe that this is going to be the best performing asset class still for the next several years. And, we talk about a lot of different parts of the of crypto. And there's actually a good question in the chat. Josh, if you can bring it up. What will be the new narrative this bull market? What's the what asset class within crypto is going to be that new mover. We had the DeFi summer. What's this year you think that people really need to be keeping an eye out for, and what should we looking at?
I guess this time around, it's just going to be seasons. It's going to be L1 season, AI. I mean, the L1s are just going to gently go up as Ethereum and Bitcoin go up. They're going to start going. You're going to have one that's going to shoot off and stuff, but you're going to have AI. It's either going to be GameFi that shoots off into AI, or it's AI that's going to shoot off into GameFi. But I think Illuvium could be one of those ones. But so it could be. There's a bunch of projects we're working with Palomos and stuff like that could do very well, but you just need one game to take off, and it's like monstrous, bros. Like, I mean. It could, I got my money on Illuvium, but it could be Shrapnel, just some multiplayer. It's just some multiplayer game where you can make money and stuff. And basically like light gambling. Let's just be for real. You're playing it with Ethereum, you're kicking people's ass, and you're just making like, oh my god, bro, I'm making so much coins, bro. And then you're able to then sell those coins for money, and you're like, oh my god. And then people lose their mind, and then people start. All you need is one viral game, and like the whole GameFi sector goes to $1 trillion, like that, like in a millisecond, like that. But until then, we're just waiting. So that's why I with GameFi, we're just one hit away, just one mega hit away from it going bananas, because everyone will stream about it and stuff. With AI, I think it'll do pretty well. There's going to be seasons for it, but there's just I'm not completely convinced in terms of AI and crypto yet, because if you really do have the best AI, you would just end up making a company and just making billions or trillions off of it, just going in the public realm. So if you had an actual like more advanced version of like ChatGPT, you would end up making your own open AI company and just make a fortune off of it. But it can work if maybe like they release an AI and they just let it go free roam and stuff like that, and then you make it decentralized with a currency to use it and stuff, and then it maybe that will be the way, because you democratize it and you just let it go, right? But I'm knowing most of these people, like, you got to understand how much money it takes to actually develop these things. And if you even put like, oh, we've got a new AI and shit, you'll get bought out for billions, just billions. Anyone, Apple to Bing and to like Microsoft, anyone, like if you actually created a really good version of an AI, man, you would just get, just insta billions. Like they'll throw the Brinks truck at you.
Yeah, that's really true. That's one thing that I noticed about the AIs. It's like, I feel like it's a little too early right now, truthfully. Like it's definitely hyped, right? It's hyped to all hell. But I'm thinking like possibly next cycle is going to be the AI cycle, so to say, right? Because I think that's when we're just developers are really going to be getting into like, okay, now this is how this is going to work. That's how that's going to work, and getting it right, so to say, And then on the other thing too, actually to comment or kind of add on to, as far as like GameFi goes, we're actually, me, NFT Tracker, and Jeff, we're going to be diving into that. We've got a couple of friends who are like so deep into the GameFi sector that they don't even play alphas, because they wait for the betas to see if the game is actually like gaining traction, so to say. And so, yeah, we're going to be delving into that here real soon. And I'm really excited, because this is going to be a lot of fun. I used to be a gamer, and so I can tell what makes a good game and all that. I wasted way too much of my life playing games. Sadly, but yeah, for sure. It's really interesting to think about. I think it'll definitely be like GameFi this year, though, especially with the NFTs. NFTs are going to be a big deal, I believe, this season.
NFTs are always just evolving. NFTs are always going. It's just like crypto coins are always going to have its moment in the sun. But the thing is with NFTs is you need Ethereum to be at a certain price point for their money to be basically. We need our casino. Like right now, if you had casino chips, right? I had $5 casino chips. Our $5 casino chips has to turn to 25s or 50s before people start like throw some cheddar here and there. Like you have to create a wealth effect for then people to speculate off. Like you need basically more than like the people really moving the price. You need them to like basically be speculating with bullshit money. But it's the bullshit money is it expanded so much that then there's so much money in the middle there. Then people started like gambling with real money. Basically, it's I know you guys know what I mean, that because you've been in crypto a long time, you know what I'm talking about here. But like that's kind of what's going on with the NFT sector. I mean, once we have like $4,000 Ethereum, NFTs are back. They just are, right. But with the whole AI thing, I'm not saying AI isn't the future. It is, sure, but the way currently how AI is right now, it's mostly prompt AIs. So the thing is, it's limited by your imagination. And then on top of that too, it's not like it isn't like when people say these things, even though they're AI, they're not really AI. They're not artificial. It's not actually like, hello, Nate, nice to meet you. You know, it isn't like it isn't like I set this AI here and then it's like, hey, what's going on, you guys? And I'm fake DCC and I'm able to do it. That's not. We're not at that point. And if we're at that point, it's very fucking dangerous at that point, actually. And like even these main AI guys, a lot of them are trying to put safeguards in place on that. Even Elon's scared of it and stuff like a full EA, because you have to be really careful with this shit because it's really dangerous. It is sort of like a Pandora's box that we're playing with. But,
bro, you gotta realize that even if somebody deep fakes DCC, remember the real DCC will not ask you for your seed phrase.
Yeah, but it's a word. People look because I've talked to these VC guys, right? AI is just a new way to get you dumbasses like how to get money out of your fucking wallet. Like really, like it's like it's like, oh, this is the new hype word, so let's add all these. There's a whole grift and shit. You just make all these companies and you're able to run off of capital. The whole thing is just basically to fucking like take all this shit out of your fucking pocket. Like how can I make a company where, because the VCs also want to do deals, because when they do deals they make more money. So how can I how can I pitch something to my buddy's VC company that we can take money from their investors to put into my company, that way I can give my buddies kickbacks. That's kind of what's going on. A lot of these companies that's going on. So the whole thing is like, as a VC investor, I have all this money of other people's capital. Okay, how can I make decisions into this stuff where it makes sense, where I won't look bad for doing it, but it was the right thing to do, to take shots on it. And on top of that, yeah, make the return. But and on top of that, VC investing is already risky enough. Like you have like if we're being for real, like only 1 out of 10 things make money. In crypto, we can make money more. I think it's a lot easier than that. But for the average VC guy who actually isn't a crypto guy, like, and really in crypto, like they lose a lot. So like in traditional VC space, 1 company out of 10 is making your money. That's it. The rest of them is bullshit. You know. So like, it's kind of a fuck, and that's being very blunt. That's not actually not that's only a couple of these VC, but like a good portion of VC companies, like that's what they're thinking of. Like, how can I make a deal happen so I can get a vig on that? Like a lot of them are just making deals in order to make deals because they have like access to a few $1 billion, and they're like, okay, I need to make a deal where I won't look crazy making it, but I need to make as many deals as possible because I can get a vig on that. And then on top of that, like, I think this, I have so many people in this industry here. We're going to fake pump this one anyway. So we'll make money on this anyway. So I'm covering my ass on, like, dude, this is a sneaky shit these guys do, dude. These guys, it's a filthy game.
It is. And, in the chat, somebody said AI is hot. Sometimes things take off more than they should, even if they're not up to snuff, just because the masses love it. They get on board and they think it's the coolest thing, like since sliced bread. So, yeah. I mean, AI, I think, is big right now because of some of the, the new things like ChatGPT and things coming out, and it's new. And so people are always excited when things are new, but we're not to where we need to be with it yet. And where we need to be is a big topic that I don't even want to cover yet, because like you said, if it develops too much, it's at a point where it's scary. Yeah. And we need to be really careful about, we're talking about regulating crypto. At the same time, we also, at some point, which I don't really want to get into, what's proper regulation for AI. So there's some really interesting thing there. But yeah, it's a
Bro,
deep.
You know topic. What else? You know what else? Since both Nate and DCC already brought it up with GameFi and AI, it seems like what DCC was kind of alluding to earlier, that a lot of the AI right now, especially a lot of the AI tokens within crypto, they're kind of gimmicky, right? Because like DCC said, if an AI company that was trying to make it into crypto actually created something of substance, that they would just be bought out, right? Like some big investor would buy them out and pay a lot for that technology, right? It's kind of like what happened with GameFi, like during its first inception. A lot of the games that were coming out, they were play to earn, they were gimmicky in that sense, right? And a lot of them died off. And the only ones that really survived, they're surviving into the next cycle because they're actually producing a great game, right? DCC mentioned Shrapnel, Illuvium, and there's a whole bunch of other games right now that are being developed. But the ones that actually stayed are the ones that people realize, oh, this is not just gimmicky, right? And for AI to actually create traction within the crypto industry, it's going to have to the projects that are worth something are going to have to vet themselves out, right? Because they can't just be the same old song and dance that all these other tokens that are copy pasted, they're copy paste of each other, right? That are being released, because there was a lot of that during the beginning of this year, right? A whole bunch of different AI tokens were released. They pumped crazy, but a lot of them have basically the same use case, right? There's not much different that sets them apart. So I think you guys are right. The same way that GameFi is probably going to take off this cycle, and not when they were first released, I think AI is going to take off cycle after this one, because this is when they're kind of going to vet the projects and the teams that actually have substance, as opposed to are just trying to catch a quick pump.
So have you guys played around with the Friend.tech stuff?
I've heard about it, bro, but I have not. I've
heard, but you getting involved in it?
I've been in it already. I've just been playing around with it, but most people are going to lose money. But the main thing right now is like, it's pretty much already like lost a lot of its thunder already, but it's going to have an airdrop at some point. So people are still playing around. If you play around with it, you probably get an airdrop, just FYI. But you have to have somebody give you a code to even log into it and stuff, and you have to like pre-fund it with Ethereum and Optimism, if I remember correct, or Arbitrum. But basically, you're like, it's kind of like you're just only the most famous people are making money, or like the way you make money on it is that you're kind of like betting on your friend getting like more popular. So like you have basically, it's completely like you're betting on like who's getting clout effectively and followers and stuff like that, and you will make some money. But like basically most people are just losing money completely, and anyone that's actively trading, there's so much fees involved and stuff that you're still losing money. So it's like you basically either invest for the long term, or you have a huge dub because one guy goes up a lot in value. Basically, you have to be really careful. But that is something that they've been trying to do, some social media thing like that where that works, but it's just difficult,
You had talked about that before, I believe. Just like if you could invest in like a celebrity like I think that it was more centered on like the music industry or something like that when you had mentioned it in one of your streams a long time ago. But that's really interesting. It's cool to see them coming out with this technology, and I wonder, is this just the first iteration of this little new narrative that we're seeing in the cycle? Is this going to be the new, basically like NFTs for people? Or, well, I don't know if it's treated like NFTs. I haven't looked into it a whole lot, but
basically everyone's a stock. Everyone's a stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you find some like small up and coming person, or someone is going to definitely scale up to be a larger influencer,
right,
as the bull market moves forward, you just basically multiply capital gambling on people essentially.
Right, and like I think I could do well at it. Like that's why I'm giving it a shot right now. But here's the thing: is that the problem is okay. So here's a really good example. Why is soccer, football, the most popular sport in the world?
It's the easiest
people
and
like
cheapest
it.
to play. You don't need anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Like, why is it the most impressive thing in the world? Like, okay, who's more impressive, Michael Phelps or Usain Bolt?
Probably Phelps.
Usain Bolt.
Well, shit.
Usain Bolt. Everyone can run. Not everyone can swim. Right. It's all about like the mass amount. So the one problem I see with this whole Friend.tech thing and stuff like that, the problem is that's not where people go to get famous. You go to get famous where? Twitter? YouTube. That's the problem. So if Google decided to do this, oh my fucking God. Like that's the problem is it's Twitch, it's YouTube where you get famous. So the thing is, it's like you have to go, like in order for this thing to work, it has to be the main place where people can get famous. The problem with Friend.tech is unless Twitter really, really, really if Twitter fully jumps in with them, and they kind of have, like they've sort of like semi-fused together a little bit, but not really. The problem is like you have, like it's all about fame, right? Like imagine like, I mean, like the music side too, like the music one that could maybe possibly work if you get like a guy that has like a banger album or a banger song. But the thing is like the reason like the music side hasn't taken off yet is because most of these guys don't have full control of their masters. And, anyone who has a real, let's just say you actually, like Rihanna, you had the song Work. She was like, hell no, I'm keeping all that. I ain't giving you guys 20% nothing. Fuck all that shit. But it's the sort of thing where like maybe like where it could work is if they gave like let's just say that album was going to come out and she wanted money ahead of time. She's like, hey, this album's going to, I speculate on this album, I'm gonna give you guys 20%. That might be worth more like to her, because that actually she really might make a ton of money, and then your investor, the people in it, eventually over 5-10 years will make their money back, right? So it just is what it is.
So I want to hop to a different topic real quick. Sure. Before I do so, I just want to thank everyone for watching. Hit that like, subscribe. If it's your first time, we appreciate you joining. I know you're here for DCC, and we appreciate that. And but hopefully we'll check back again sometime in the future. Also, you can join our community Telegram, which you can just ask questions. We'll help as much as we can on questions you have and whatever you might need. So you can put that in the description later once the video is completed. But I want to ask you, DCC. So when we were chatting the other day, you had mentioned that if things go wrong, especially in elections and worst case scenario, could crypto ever be fully banned in the United States? I mean, we're getting the Bitcoin ETF, so maybe that won't be. But could we potentially see some really bad legislation coming in? Maybe not a full ban, but could we still potentially see some really bad legislation? If we did, would that really cripple the United States economy if others could, use these technologies to gain an upper hand?
I mean, yeah, it's still possible. I mean, the main thing would be like if they just pass a bunch of laws to come after influencers. Well, if influencers can't talk about crypto, then the whole industry will probably die. Really. That's the whole thing, is like who's allowed to talk about it. Like that's the main thing, that the people who shill it, the people who actually get you to know about it. Honestly, this country needs more protections for YouTubers, period. Because I mean, what's kind of going on now is that, YouTube's become television effectively. So like you're just watching your particular channel, whether it's Twitch or not, it's become like, this is where people get educated and stuff. So that's the problem, is like no one's watching CNBC for anything crypto at all. Like if they come after influencers and all the influencers are leaving and stuff, like it's really bad, because then your nation falls really. That's why I've had a sneaking suspicion the United States is going to like soften up, and then eventually they're like, holy crap, and they're going to pump money probably into Solana or some other bullshit chain. But like, come on, like, yeah, like Solana was a crock of shit, but like VC money, Chamath pumped it basically,
it only works like 50% of the time,
basically. But I'll give them this though. That how do I say it? Okay, I'll give them this though. Like they're pretty much trying they're trying now to. They're basically making all new sort of like ecosystem, in terms of like they're trying to get rid of all the old platforms on there and just going to brand new projects. So they're kind of cycling and getting rid of every single project. But at the same time too, we still have the lawsuit happening with what's his fucking name, SBF, and that happens in October. But these guys still have a bunch of tokens, so like SBF could still dump Solana. So it's not. I'm positioning very slightly into it. I'm doing very small DCAs into it, but I'm being careful. I'm not putting no big stack into it right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the other thing is, just from a standpoint of regulation, YouTube, Facebook, really they can just decide what they want to show on their platforms and what they can't. So really they're just individually choosing who to silence anyway. So if it's not the government, sometimes it could be these individual platforms that are kind of, really the biggest news outlets. Like you said, where do people become big? Where do people get their news? What do people watch? YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. And if they're starting to decide what they show and who they're going to allow to speak, then that's a problem that might even be larger than the government as well.
Well, when you're talking about that, right, then we start getting into the whole idea of like X, right, or formerly known as Twitter. And it seems like Elon is really trying to push against that narrative, right? And he's trying to allow, even though he still does it, right, he still censors some people, but he's trying to allow as much like free speech as possible, which also, I don't know if you heard, DCC, but they just got licensed, right, for crypto transactions. And what has he been saying for quite a while now, right? Doge might be on the way, right? So it seems like right now he's going to be going through Bitcoin and Doge, but what I find absolutely fascinating is how you can get these coins like SHIB or Doge that literally are just memes. They're just shit coins and meme coins. And then, like years down the road, all of a sudden you get like, oh my gosh, so this is going to be like a main currency, or could be a main currency, right? If you go on to X, which is going to be not just, like old Twitter, which is, send over some text and stuff, but they're looking for like live videos, audios, kind of like how YouTube did it and everything. Also like payments and all that, paying bills, kind of like your own bank. It's kind of like a one app for all. Technically speaking, China has already kind of been on this run where it's like, yeah, just one app for everything. You consolidate, instead of having like 10 different apps for a whole bunch of different things, consolidate it all into like one or two, right? China's been really huge on that, and it's been working. And so I can see that Elon Musk right now, he's trying to like kind of do that himself over here in America. And I think if we were able to get like Doge or whatever to be able to be like one of those main currencies, I think especially like, and you know what, he paid what was it, $44 billion. He's got a lot of loans and everything, obviously, and he's in debt in some sort of fashion where he's gonna have to be paying that off constantly. So if you're technically looking at it too, he needs to be making a lot of money off of X to just continually keep that going, right? So I could see him implementing this very quickly. And with us being so close to a bull market right now, I really do think that maybe within like 4 months, like this could really truly be implemented,
Yeah, I mean, X is the new WeChat. That's what's happening.
Yeah, what did you? Can you elaborate that on a little bit? I did not quite understand your tweet when you had said that. Do you mean like WeChat, the Chinese?
The Chinese app, yeah. Basically, it's becoming. It's just this app where you do everything financial. That's what. So, I mean, I've been saying whoever's like right now we're becoming kind of China light, and I mean, basically that's what's happening is that they're we have a weird. We don't have a social credit system, but it's kind of like we have but we all remember this whole thing where like it's your private record, right? It's sort of like that's what's going on. There's like a private record of you, and if you say the wrong things, you're going to get banned, right? So like it started with Alex Jones, then went to Andrew Tate, and it keeps going on and on and on and stuff like that. I mean, they just took away Fresh and Fit's sort of whole deal. So it's going to start getting more crazier and crazy. You had to be an Alex Jones level. Then it's like Andrew Tate and now Fresh and Fit. Like at what point do you start losing all your voice for anything, right? And that's kind of the crazy sort of thing that's happening. So what they're trying to do, they're centralizing that, then they're centralizing the dollars. So this is why I'm so passionate about crypto, because this is where you can at least have your money for free. Your money's free and you own it and control it and stuff. So it's always going to be the struggle, but yeah, Elon's going to be nice, and it's going to be like this little WeChat X thing is going to be pretty nice and stuff for a couple of years, and then it's going to start getting really like draconian later on. So yeah,
everything starts out the way that we want it to, and it never ends the way that we expect it to. Jay, what's up?
No, I was wondering because it seems like we were mentioning earlier how like kind of the legacy media, they're dying out. Nobody's paying attention to them, right? He said everybody goes on Twitter and they go on YouTube to consume their media. And so, but unfortunately, we see with platforms like YouTube, like Instagram, like Facebook, they have a tendency to censor people that they don't necessarily agree with, right? And it seems to me that at the very least, when Elon Musk acquired Twitter, that was kind of a win for free speech. It seemed like out of all of the most popular platforms that people use for social media, we at the very least have one guy on our side that's pro free speech. But DCC, you just mentioned that it seemed like you believe that in the future that this is going to be like WeChat China Lite and it's going to be draconian. Why do you think that's going to happen, especially with Elon Musk running the show there? Because it seems like he's very pro-American values, at the very least more so than the people running Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, right, that censor people that they don't agree with.
Like I like Elon and everything like that, but the thing is you have to watch actions as well, right? I mean he he owes the Obama administration everything. Basically, if he didn't get that loan from NASA and stuff, he'd be like SpaceX. It all would have folded up anyway. So I like Elon, I really do, but the thing is like he's going to start getting into this position of like crazy power, and on top of that, it's like like that's the counterintuitive thing to do, right? So it's sort of this weird thing where like now we're like rooting for the world's richest guy, which is kind of hilarious, right? But well, supposedly not really the richest guy. Fuck it. It's some oil dudes, and there's some people who own real wealth, but it's that sort of thing where like we're all like. We're all rooting for this guy, and then eventually like our whole financial everything's on one app and stuff like that, and then it doesn't take much. They take him out, which he is a good guy. They take him out, and then they took control of the company, and then they start implementing them. Now everyone's on that app, and nobody wants to get off of it. Just like when everyone's on an Apple phone, nobody wants to get off an Apple phone. Same sort of deal. So don't comply, you die. And so
if things get too big, regulation comes in from the government as well, right? If it doesn't go the way that they want it to, if they can't control it a little bit, then there's some worry there too for them.
Right. So it's just an interesting sort of case and stuff like that. And then on top of that, everyone's worried about the metaverse. Like honestly, if anyone's going to probably pull off the metaverse, it's probably going to be Apple. If I'm being honest, like Apple with I'm already in the pre-line and stuff for it, but there's like they have a whole visor and stuff coming out. If Apple every time they release a product, it isn't like a one-off. They literally will have it for a decade. Like, so if Apple's probably like the real first competitor to I would say Facebook and stuff, Meta, and like I'd rather use an Apple one than I won't use a Facebook one for. Like, I still to this day won't buy one of those because I ain't supporting him at all. So yeah,
Apple Vision, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a couple of corporations, but you got to choose where you're going to be at. Like Apple's like fake privacy, but at least like it's just is what it is,
On the subject of privacy, another thing that you had mentioned that I don't know if it's good to go into or not, but you were talking about how the Tornado Cash guys got arrested in the United States. On our stream with Walrus from Liquid Loans earlier, he had mentioned that Hurricane Cash, I think, is trying to build something similar on Pulse Chain. And you had, if I recall correctly, you had said that the problem that the Tornado Cash guys did is that they did it in the United States or something along those lines. Is that correct?
That's one of the reasons, but like they can very easily say that this is also just like this. So it's like I'm not going to use it personally, any of the version. Basically, they don't want you to use mixers at all.
Yeah.
Eventually, they'll like if you use a mixer, it doesn't matter if for the founders and shit. Like maybe they get away with it, but like you're a US user, they find out, hey, use a mixer, you're in instant trouble now. Fuck. So I'm not using it. I'm not using any of them. And so I think the only thing people have is like if you use it in the past, you got grandfathered in, you get to use it. Now you can't use it anymore. If you are using it, you're in big trouble. So like that's good luck to those dudes, but man, they're playing with fucking fire, man. They're playing with fire, bro.
Yep. I mean, the government came out hard and already said, like, hey, any United citizen using Tornado Cash or using any mixer, we're pretty much coming after you, right? So you have to be careful there. And look, risk is important. When you're in crypto, when you're in investment, understanding your risk and understanding where you can make your money or where you're going to get wrecked is really important. So the last person you want to piss off or do something against is the government.
Right.
So DCC, we only got maybe one more question before we wrap up here. What are two of your favorite projects that are coming up? Maybe something on the smaller side. We understand Pulse and Hex and that you're big into those, but what are some projects that you're really hyped on right now?
Oh, here we go, man. Low cap altcoins, DCC.
It's the DJ himself.
Evil Pepe.
Yeah. Well, it just depends if it's come out or not and stuff like. I mean, like I guess right now, like I like Thor Swap right now. Thor Swap's one that I've been liking quite a lot and stuff. I think it's going to do pretty well. It is giving me sort of like, take a minute, hold on to your seats. It's giving me sort of like Luna Celsius vibes. But like you can make a lot of money on this shit early on, and you got to get the fuck out. Hey, I'm just being for real. Hey, we made out like bandits. Just saying. But like it's early, and I'm getting sort of like it. I mean, it's getting vibes. Like I mean, people deposit coins to earn yield, and on top of that, they also do loans now, and they have like some fail safes, but the fail safes aren't even that. Like it's not 100% right. It's still they haven't solved the problem, but people want to earn yield and shit, and you can earn yield on Litecoin, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, AVAX, BNB token and stuff like that. So people are going to try to get that yield. And then these Bitcoiners, they love this shit. It's so stupid. This is basically almost like this thing's basically half funded by Bitcoin money, really. And then I think the reason is because, Thorchain had a little hack a long time ago, but it was fine. It's still here. And I think a lot of Bitcoin billionaires not billionaires, but Bitcoin, what do you call it, like OGs or, some dudes who have a lot of capital, they probably looked at it like, hey, it's low cap enough. I think this could be our degen L1 basically. So I think Thorchain and ThorSwap can do really well. And ThorSwap is so low cap right now. It's like $24 million that I'm taking a shot at it. I bought some, I'm yielding on it and stuff. Like I bought some recently when it went down to 16 cents. It's at 20 cents. So I'm up a little bit. The token burn happens literally tomorrow, I think. Let me see. Yeah, tomorrow or in 2 days on Friday. Happens on Friday. I think 250,000 coins are going to get burned. And, usually it pumps a couple days afterwards and stuff like that, and we'll see how high it goes. But we're just watching it. I'm just peppering in money, and if it goes lower, that's why I DCA a little bit more. But that's one project I'm looking into. This isn't a low cap one, but Dogecoin, also accumulating the Doge, obviously, because of the whole Elon. I'm not just because I think Elon Musk is wrong. I'm gonna make some fucking money off that shit. Fuck all that shit, right? Trump NFTs, you're gonna make some money off the Trump NFTs. That's right. There's a lot of things to make, but low cap stuff, I'm trying to think of something that's come out that's recently, there's some Phantom stuff. A lot of everything in Phantom's in the shitter right now, which is good and stuff. So, but you got to be careful and stuff. That's about, 9-inch, but it hasn't come out yet. Phantom, not Phantom, but Famous hasn't come out yet, but at some point, there's those coins and stuff but outside of that, I'm just actively just putting money into Ethereum or just EHEX, PHEX or something like that, and I'm really building my bags up and stuff. And honestly, there's a risk as well. Just to give you guys the risk right now, there is a risk as well that Richard doesn't show up to the court dates at all, and they're after him or something like that. You never know, dude. I'm serious. He may not even show up. And then if he doesn't show up, what could happen to Hex's price? We could dip back down to fucking crazy low prices, or it could go to close to zero or something like that, and then maybe you'll rebound from there because it's freedom or whatever. But who the hell knows? I'm not putting. That's why you got to be really careful. That's why I tell people hey, make sure you have some Ethereum. Make sure you Hex and Pulse Chain's not your only play. But but once it turns around and we know it's good now, then we can invest in that point, and then it's still, you make tons of gains still. But I'm still DCAing, but I'm willing to lose my ass on that stuff because the upside's gigantic. But you gotta not bet the entire farmhouse be taking loans, doing ridiculous shit. Just invest some of your passive DCAs, and then still build up the Ethereum side and stuff. That way you're not going to be wrecked. Crypto is a game of attrition. I've said this forever. It's one of the things I've said it's about surviving. You have to be a cockroach. You never die. You can't get irradiated. You survive everything. And then when the city is destroyed and leveled and shit, you inherit the earth and it's yours.
I love that. Yeah, actually, that's exactly what I started doing too. Is more ETH as well, which is for me, I've never really been too interested in ETH itself. I've always been kind of looking around at altcoins, right? But I started looking very hard at specifically what bags I've got and everything, right? And I'm you know what, my ETH bag is just not where I want it to be. And so I started taking the max majority of my DCAs, and I started just throwing them in there. And I'm sitting there oh, maybe I should wait for it to drop more. I'm just no, just you need more of that. And so I've legitimately been actually I've been paid in ETH as well for a couple of other things. So it's
on the Hex side, I've been stacking just a ton of EHEX and PHEX, and I'm not really staking until after the court date, basically. I'm staking a little bit here and there, but I'm gonna take once I see where I'm at liquid bag wise, then I'll make a decision and I'll stake these out, and then the rest of it I'll just use as taking profits bags and stuff like that. But I've said this is you build the biggest liquid bag if you want to, if you even care. If not, build up bags and other L1s. You think they'll survive? I think OP is pretty good. I don't like Arbitrum personally, but Arbitrum could do good. But there's a lot of places to make a lot of money. Just basically build your bag when they're cheap and be a turbo dork in that ecosystem.
Yeah, Velodrome is the one I'm currently looking at right now because it's good. It's good, man. And like we took a deep dive in with Tracker and Jeff, and like I really like it. And
Makes a lot of
yet
money.
I still
Makes a
it's
lot of money. Makes a lot of
yeah,
money.
I know. That's the thing. That's the thing. And so I'm kind of like, I don't have enough in there. I'm just like, oh, I need more, But then again, the Pulse side of things looks so juicy too.
Yeah.
Ooh, shiny thing,
You have to make these decisions, and sometimes you're like, all right, I'll make a DC if it goes lower. I gotta keep building this. Like you have to keep building the other bags as well. That's the whole thing, is like, because man, it just sucks for guys that are just all in one ecosystem, and when that ecosystem has a bear market, they're just so fucked for a while, and they're like, dude, like. My Ethereum side is perfectly fine. Like the rest of my portfolio is right. Like some of these coins are down, but like the Pulse chain side was hella high up. I was able to take a little off, put that back into Ethereum. Now it's down. I'm reing up on all my bags. It is. And that's what you have to do. And when your one ecosystem is up so much against Ethereum, just take a little back into Ethereum or Bitcoin. And then especially early on we're early in the cycle, right? If we're in deep in 24 or or like middle of 25, like it's more about rolling money into cash at that point versus like coins and stuff like that, but hey man, but I'll tell you this, man, at the end of the bull market's when the crazy gains happen too. You guys know this, like, it's like, wow, this is when like Phantom in 6 months did like insanity and stuff like that. And you forget, like, it's so crazy too, because during those times you're just like 6 months in anything. 6 months in crypto is like it's been pumping for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, But there you go, man.
Jay, anything you want to add before we get to our last question?
Okay, so this is a bit of a selfish question for me because DCC mentioned it and I just kind of latched onto it. There's a lot of Hexicans that are part of our community, and he mentioned that Richard might possibly not show up to the court date. Now, I'm sure that he knows what that might do to the Hex price and what that might do to the community. Why do you think that's a possibility that Richard Hart might actually not show up to that court? Just because that they're wanting him to come here in America, or?
Well, it could. He could think that it's a kangaroo court and they're really just going to try to lock him up. It's true. It's possible. You never know. So, I mean, he'll make the best decision on that, man. Like, I don't know. It's all possible. I honestly think he's going to make a spectacle of it and fight it and win. Like, knowing him, he's going to make, like, worst case, he just, like, the best worst case, he makes a spectacle of it, then decides to settle out of court, but they kept letting him talk about crypto as he'll fight for something like that and then allow that. Or he just fights the whole thing and then wins or loses. But it's just going to be it's going to be a spectacle no matter what. No matter what he does. He doesn't show up, oh, shit. He shows up and then it's all live televised. Oh my god, that'd be so fucking incredible if it was televised. Oh my god. I mean, there's so much shit. I mean, basically, like all this publicity is good. I mean, we need all the publicity we can get right now. So, and that's publicity that other things aren't getting at all, which is pretty nice.
Bro, imagine if Richard does show up, and then everybody has been kind of expecting the humble Richard to appear, and then the one that shows up in court is the 2021 Richard Hart.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like a lot of people don't know who's like don't panic. Like RH is not showing up. It's the court date just for the lawyers to meet. This is why people are speculating that, like, because people don't know what lawyers he's using. So everyone's looking like, what lawyers is he using? There's nothing there. So we're going to see finally we're going to see what law firm is going to represent him or not represent him.
Well, DCC, you have a crypto mindset course coming up. My guess is that you're going to be covering some of this information in that. Can you let everyone on the stream know what exactly the crypto mindset course is, how they get involved, and what you'll be covering when it starts, all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll Crypto Mindset 9/11 edition is coming out September 8th. It's going to be just on sale for 5 days, and if you don't get in, you're not in. That's it. So basically, we take somebody from A to Z. If you don't know anything to you're wheeling and dealing in the crypto space and DeFi. We'll tell you what's the best ecosystems that we're messing around with, what we think is dangerous, how to like set up a wallet, how to do transactions, how to yield farm, how not to yield farm, how to stake, how not to stake, how to buy on Uniswap, how to use bridges, which ones are safe, and everything else in the crypto space. But from there too, we also have a lot of alumni that keep coming back because we keep bringing new information, as well as like we keep talking about new ecosystems, as well as like we have token founders and a lot of interesting sort of stuff. I mean, there's gonna be something really special with this one as well. We're gonna have a lot of bonus webinars. The last one we did, the last course, we had a return on flex webinars. We had a lot of interesting guests, and we're gonna have more and more guests. Like every year, every quarter, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're able to like offer more and more things. So you get exclusive interviews with people, VCs, as well as like people who run entire projects in the GameFi space and stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting. Every year it just keeps getting bigger, and you know, we're you know, pretty well experienced and stuff. You know, we've taught over 14,000 people so far, and on our way to 1 million.
And
basically, yeah. Basically, you don't want to be poor. You know, if you want to be poor, don't get in. Basically,
broke Bobby. Nobody wants to be broke Bobby.
No one wants to be broke Bobby. No, and there really is a lot of value in these courses too. I mean, quite frankly, like back in Q4, I remember that one. That's where I was like, again, you know, bringing in a lot of info, right? And I was like, okay, I need more. And then that's when I started noticing that all the info that I was getting started turning from like, you know, help me, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Especially right around that DeFi Kingdom play that we did there. You know, went from like, I have no idea what I'm doing, help me, to somebody else saying that. And I'm like, okay, here, this is what, you know, what you should do, this is what you should do, you know, this is how you do that. And I started actually kind of adventuring on my own, trying to figure out new things all on my own. And I was able to kind of like work through that. That right there really sticks out for me about like when things really started to turn. I was like, oh, I'm getting it, you know, I'm getting this now.
Within one course, you'll become the most knowledgeable person in any group that you're in. I mean, it's very rare when you meet anyone that they'll be more knowledgeable than you. It's kind of insane. Like you become the expert when it comes to crypto and your whole family, friend group, and everything. It's pretty fucking insane. Like no one else has really been able to do or replicate what we've been able to do en masse at all, because we've painstakingly have like worked on this for a very long time. We're used to working with very large people. I mean, we've been able to teach like 2,000 people in one shot with like nothing and stuff like that, and get them to like, you know, making money and doing all this stuff. But still, at the end of the day, human nature, you know, and at the end of the day, you push the green button or the red button, and that's the whole thing. Is like people's greed sometimes gets in the way of like, you know, rational thought.
Yeah, and I just want to say, for us at the GGen Roundtable, I don't think we would be here without the crypto mindset course. We are all alumni of that. I've taken, I think, 5 courses now, and I will continue to take them in the future.
Appreciate it, brother.
You know, it's been a big help for me, and there's always a lot of alpha in there, a lot of good information. You just got to be ready to put in the time in, because it is a lot of stuff coming at you, and
it's even more now, bro. It's even more now.
You don't pay money to not put in the work. You know, don't put the money in unless you're ready to put in the work, because you are responsible for yourself and your future, and the best way to do that is to learn from the best. So, DCC, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. You know, we have Rags to Riches coming on next week.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah,
any good information you have for us? And I know you guys know each other pretty well.
I hate this guy. I truly no. I'm just no, he's a good dude. I don't think I've streamed with him, or maybe I have in the past and stuff like that. But yeah, he's got a good guy. I don't got nothing bad to say about the guy. Yeah, I mean, he's very consistent sort of streamer and stuff, and that's important, because I one thing I'm looking for is like guys who like stuck it through this bear market. So like I wish him nothing but success in the future, because like he's sticking it through this 2022, 2023, through all these trial and tribulations, and like he's gonna be successful, man. So shout out to him, brother. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, this was fantastic. Again, really appreciate the time. I know you're busy. You have a lot of stuff going on, especially preparing for the next September 11th crypto mindset course. If you just stay in our chat once we go off stream for 2 seconds, we'd appreciate it. And everyone, please like, subscribe, join our Telegram, and get into the crypto mindset course, because it is going to help you make money in the future. Nothing on here is financial advice, but it's something I would highly recommend if you want to make money. So that's all I got. Jay, Nate, Will, Josh, thank you for behind the scenes. You guys got anything before we check out?
Yeah, I really highly suggest joining the Telegram group. Like, there's a lot of stuff being thrown around in there that can legitimately make you money. I mean, there's a lot of different plays. Obviously, like shitcoins, we don't want to be playing around too much of those. So if we do recommend something like that in there, obviously we're giving like very specific, hey, be very careful this way, only do it this way, right? But at the same time, you can't make money in there, but you have to have mindset as well. And hence why you take the crypto mindset course, right? You understand exactly what it is to be thinking, right? When you are placing these bets, so to say, right? But it's not just that either. There's a lot of info that is continually coming out for our Telegram as well, where it's like something happens in the market and we have just a little emergency video. I mean, Jay did that just a couple of days ago. And so, yeah, join up, guys. It's absolutely crazy. I got a lot more content coming. We're going to start deep diving into GameFi and everything, me, Tracker. So at this point, it's just the adventures of me, Tracker, and Jeff, and we're just going through everything. So, yeah, join up, guys.
Will, where you headed? Or Jay, sorry.
As far as for me, look, if you guys have been following us for a while and been watching, and you have, acquired some value from watching us on a continued basis, I will say that, to kind of echo what Brendan said earlier, that it would not be possible for us to do this if it was not for the guidance of our mentors. One of them is Charlie, and the other one is right here streaming with us, Miguel. Right? A lot of our fundamentals came from learning from them through the CMC course, and we actually all met through the crypto mindset course as well. And so not only was that course important in learning about the fundamentals behind cryptocurrency and knowing how to invest properly, but it was also a networking opportunity where now we have a great group of people and guys and team around us that we can bounce off of each other, that help us get through not just the bear markets, but hopefully this upcoming bull cycle where we're gonna take some sizable profit. So I highly encourage anybody who hasn't taken it to consider it heavily, especially if you have absolutely no idea about crypto, because these guys will flatten out the learning curve for you severely. And Andrew Tate says it all the time: money loves speed, and you can't afford to be slow in this market, right? Because if you see the charts, Bitcoin can do 2x overnight. So,
Will, take us home.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder, I am in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm about to be rolling over to Jamestown, New York, and then shortly thereafter over near Burlington, Vermont. So if you are a DGen, the DGen Roundtable, if you're a Moon Ganger, if you're just a random subscriber who wants me to swing by on my way around the States, shoot me a message on Telegram. My socials are down in the description for this channel. Or if you want to hang out, I've done a couple interviews now. I've done quite a few hangouts. This shit is it's like the reason that I love this community. One thing that I don't think has been mentioned, or well, hasn't been mentioned in the plug section anyway, is the Citadel. So if you go to the Cultivate Crypto website, join the Citadel. It's totally super duper worth it. It's a great community inside there. Just all the communities that we got on show today are absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend them enough. And again, I know it's been said, but the the crypto mindset course is super duper worth it. You totally make all your money back just in the knowledge that you gain and the experience and the friends along the way. So that's all I got. Mr. Bean, go ahead and take us out of here.
From the DGen Roundtable, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure, and I can't tell you how much I enjoyed the show. DCC, thank you again. Like, subscribe, and tune into more shows, and we will see you Sunday at 8 p.m. We stream every Sunday, and oftentimes we have special guests on Wednesdays. And then we will have emergency streams once in a while if any big news pops. But like, subscribe, and we'll see you all soon. DGen Roundtable out.